When fishing for Atlantic cod, it is best to use large hooks because of their large mouths. They respond well to strip baits, such as fish, eels, herring, squid, and crab. If using bait, choose a spinnerbait, chrome diamond or Norwegian spinnerbait, spoon, metal squid, or moosetail. Norwegian spinnerbait, in the 10 to 20 ounce range, tipped with whole squid, clams, or sea worms, is also effective for Atlantic cod. Bottom fishing rigs baited with squid or clams are also effective. Here are some common baits, lures, and tackle that can be used for Atlantic cod. Clams and mussels, cut bait, jig, live saltwater bait, squid. The best baits for cod are large worms and squid. There is no species that anglers take more care with their baits than cod. If the angler puts so much effort into his wife's meals, they will have a wonderful marriage. Cod are greedy fish and will eat a wide variety of baits, but you should try to feed them baits that are suitable for them. These can be soft-shell crabs, razor clams, mussels, earthworms, sea worms, baitfish, squid, sand gobies, etc. The most popular baits for cod are rag-headed squid or sea worms. Bait elastics are essential to keep the squid bait fixed on the hook, otherwise crabs and sharks, etc. will destroy your bait before the cod can eat it and they will slip off as soon as you cast the bait. Same with bait. These fish will eat very large baits, their mouths are very large. Cod move with the tide through deep estuary channels. It is also common to fish for cod in the channels of estuaries as they rise with the tide, slurping up worms and crushing crabs on the seabed as the water moves over sand and mudflats. Cod fishermen therefore often fish on the rising tide, starting their fishing session on low tide in the dark and fishing until the water comes in. Whatever tide the cod move up the estuary, it is likely to show a pattern to that sign. You then know roughly when the cod will move through. This makes cod fishing a waiting game, so hand warmers and flasks are essential. From the beach, you tend to catch cod in rough terrain and especially from gravel beaches. Cod are demersal fish, meaning they feed on or near the bottom. However, they will hunt in the mid-water column when they are larger and chasing fish. Weymouth Beach. The Dorset coast is famous for cod fishing, with steep rocky beaches and deep water nearby. When beach fishing for cod, look out for mud, rocks, depth and rough ground. Cod are not usually caught on sandy beaches or from shallow beaches. Instead, they prefer heavy rough ground, such as broken reef structures such as shipwrecks and rocky areas. They also like rocky beaches with steep cliffs such as Chesil Beach in Dorset. Mud flats and mudflats can also be productive, especially if there are channels for the cod to move through. Large specimens are caught from boats with lure fishing gear on wrecks in the southwest and east. Artificial eels are a favorite bait for catching them. Cod season varies depending on your location. Cod can be caught all year round if you are far enough from the north of England, while in the south they only appear in coastal waters during the cold winter. Around Dorset they can be caught in autumn, winter and especially spring. The best way to find out if there are plenty of cod in your local fishing spots is to join local Facebook groups, as FISHMAG does not yet have good intelligence on the best cod fishing spots nationwide. In coastal waters you tend to catch codling, i.e. young cod weighing less than 5 pounds. The range of cod has been significantly reduced. Cod fishing in the south of England has virtually ceased in many areas, apart from occasional catches. However, the range of sea bass fishing has increased further north in the UK. The good news about cod fishing in the UK is that if you don't catch cod, you always have a great chance of catching something else like huss or eel using the same rig and bait. Cod can only really be confused with mullet. Cod have a larger, blunter head, but the head of a mullet is more pointed towards the jaw. The lateral line of a cod is more pronounced and curves upwards towards the pectoral fins. Also, look for a distinct black or dark spot at the base of the pectoral fins on mullet, which is absent on cod. When living on sand, cod are light brown or light brown on the back with a white underside. But when feeding mainly on rough ground and broken shells, they become slightly greener on the back for better camouflage. They reach sexual maturity at age 4, and female cod can lay up to 10 million eggs. Fry are rare, but by the end of their second spring they can be found near shore and are between 4 and 7 inches long. They generally grow rapidly, and by their third year they will weigh about 4 pounds, although they are not yet fully grown. Cod spawn from around February to April at depths of over 200 meters. A large adult female can lay between 4 and 6 million eggs in a single spawn. The eggs are transported by ocean currents to maximize their distribution range. Distribution: Atlantic cod are commonly found along the northern half of the east coast of the Americas as far south as Maine. Along the coast of Newfoundland, Canada, around the southern half of Greenland, throughout Iceland and throughout Norway, as far south as the Barents Sea off Russia and as far north as the Arctic. Cod are found throughout the UK, with high concentrations in the North Sea, English Channel, Irish Sea and off Scotland as far north as the Faroe Islands. They are also common throughout Ireland, but the northwest coast from Mayo through Donegal and Northern Ireland tends to have larger numbers. Habitat of cod. Cod are a versatile fish found offshore in just a few feet of water all the way to the edge of the continental shelf at depths of 2,000 feet or 600 meters. In the inshore areas, they are found on shallow and sloping sandy beaches, inside small and large estuaries, and off cliffs and scars on rough ground. In the offshore areas, they prefer rough ground in deeper water, especially coral reefs, as well as shipwrecks, but can also be found on cleaner ground and more cracks. Diet. Cod are designed with large mouths relative to their bodies to suck food from the seafloor and suck in the baitfish they hunt. The typical diet of cod includes crabs, worms, shellfish, shrimp and squat lobsters, but as they grow larger and begin to eat live fish, they will also eat cod, grouper, flounder, anchovies, herring and mackerel. They are also cannibalistic and will happily eat their own kind. The contribution of cod to the development and progress of the world is enormous but little known. Dried cod has been a product for over 1,000 years. Salted cod and dried cod fed the Vikings on their epic voyages of plunder, pillage and eventually trade. There seems little doubt that it was the Vikings who discovered the route to America before Columbus, perhaps 400 years earlier, and again it was cod that fed the Viking crews as they scoured the North Atlantic for new lands to settle. Even today, Norway exports salted cod and dried cod to about a dozen countries, with Portugal being one of the largest markets. In Norwegian, salted and dried cod was called klippfisk, which means cliff fish, because the cod fillets were dried on the rocky surface of cliffs or in wooden racks on windblown hillsides. In the 1800s, the Grand Banks off Newfoundland were a cod mecca, with huge catches, and fish weighing over 100 pounds were caught by long lines from small boats dropped from main-masted ships. At the time, it was said that you could walk across the Atlantic on the backs of cod, so many cod there were. It was an exaggeration, but it shows how large the cod really was. However, even here, relentless commercial fishing took its toll, and by the 20th century it was a shadow of its former self. In the 1600s in Newfoundland, cod was actually a form of currency and could be traded for alternative goods. It was literally called cod money. The largest cod ever officially recorded weighed 212 pounds, 95.5 kilograms. The cod was caught in May 1895 off the coast of Massachusetts using a long line. To this day, cod weighing over 100 pounds are still caught commercially in Norwegian and Icelandic waters. At this time of year, temperatures start to rise with high 30-degree and even 40-degree days. This causes a rapid increase in water temperatures, which in turn affects the behavior of the Murray cod. Murray cod like warmer water and they become more active during the summer months. There is a lot of baitfish, crayfish, yabbies, prawns and even insect activity on the surface of the water. This really stimulates the cod and is why they become easier to catch during the summer months. Murray cod surface fishing. That being said, there comes a point where the fish become uncomfortable with the high water temperature and so they hide in cooler water. This cooler water is usually found deeper in the water column, in shady areas and under cover of night. When the water temperature peaks above 22 to 23 degrees, the cod will seek out cooler water. Their ideal ambient temperature during the summer is between 18 to 21 degrees, and this is closely related to the water temperature at which they spawn. Once the fish become comfortable with the ambient water temperature, they will start feeding again, but they will not venture into extreme temperatures unless absolutely necessary. Atlantic cod spawn in the winter. Adults swim offshore to spawn. Smaller females have about 2.5 million eggs, while larger females can have up to 9 million. Larvae hatch after 10 to 40 days and are 0.2 inches long. Small Atlantic cod feed on shrimp and other small crustaceans, while adults feed on a variety of shellfish as well as herring, mackerel, smelt, and juvenile cod. Pollock and large cod are some of the predators of juvenile Atlantic cod. Adult cod are preyed upon by dogfish, sharks, and marine mammals. Atlantic cod are typically found at depths of 200 to 440 feet, but have been seen as deep as 1,200 feet. The MA Department of Fisheries manages the Atlantic cod fishery within 3 miles of the shore. After 3 miles, the fishery is managed by NOAA Fisheries and the New England Fishery Management Council. New England waters were once abundant in Atlantic cod, but because it was such a popular fish, advances in fishing technology have reduced its numbers. Cod has a mild flavor and is not fishy. It is cut into large pieces. When raw, the flesh is transparent but turns white when cooked. Atlantic cod is found throughout the North Atlantic, from Greenland to North Carolina in the West and in Scandinavia. Atlantic cod is also known to be a seasonal migrant. When to fish for cod. Night fishing can yield much better results as they feel safer getting closer to shore in the dark. They will also get closer to shore when there is an offshore wind and when the sea is choppy. Spring tides can often yield good results. Many fish use the rising and falling tides to find abundant food sources. What you need to catch cod. A 12 feet to 15 feet beach caster rated to throw 5 ounces to 8 ounces. Strong shock line, up to 60 pounds. First choice 12 to 18 pounds line, sandy ground. Second choice 25 to 30 pounds line, rough ground. 5 ounces to 6 ounces weight allows you to cast the furthest. 1 to 6/0 hooks depending on the bait used. The best and freshest bait you can buy, live if you can. Best bait to use for cod. Soft shell crabs. Worms, especially white grubs. Wheel worms. Squid. During the winter months, live baits are hard to come by, especially worms. Keep a supply of frozen baits such as squid, soft shell crabs and shrimp for those times when live bait is hard to come by. Hold the line for about 20 minutes, then reel it in and replace with new bait. Do not keep any old bait, just replace it.